fluorescence in the surface. You can do it with different timing, but then if you send each beam with a different time, so that you're pulsing them, then that means that you reduce the total, you reduce the resolution in the horizontal direction as the beam is spinning, because you can only sort of sample one or a handful of beams at a time. So there's all these different trade-offs, all these different issues. And the claim that I'm making that this gives them an advantage is that they've worked their way through a lot of these different possibilities, a lot of these different issues. So they have a really good understanding of, in practice, when you build a LiDAR system, if you had to make a trade-off between two different physics or engineering challenges, what is going to win out? And that's really what gives them an advantage. It's really in the design phase, just the sort of knowledge of having done this a lot of times for a slightly different technology.
Yep, that makes sense.
Sure. How about the integration portion of it? How much would the already integrated sensors give them an advantage when they bring in a new sensor or new LiDAR?
The already integrated sensors. Oh, so that's another thing too. So Velodyne has established partners, established customers, and and these customers have already built systems that incorporate Velodyne LiDAR, so they sort of know that platform. And Velodyne, I'm sure, will try to make any newer sensors as compatible as possible, at least as familiar as possible on the front end to people that want to integrate them. And there'll be some new features, potentially, like I mentioned before, intentional beam steering for implementing an attention mechanism. That might be something a customer might want. So, the fact that they already they were the market leader, that sort of gives them an advantage just in the sense that people know they can trust Velodyne, they know the quality that they would expect from Velodyne, the reliability. And so if Velodyne puts out a next-gen sensor, it's sort of a known quantity. And that's really, when it comes to purchasing decisions, a lot of times the decision makers, they want to deal with known quantities. They don't want to just talk to a small startup that's developed this whiz-bang new sensor that's never really been tested out in the field. They're not going to put that into a car because typically hardware and software that goes into a vehicle is expected to last for at least 10 to 15 years. So if you put in a sensor from a no-name little startup and it's supposed to last for 10 or 15 years and it breaks after year 2 or 3 and it breaks in like 80% of the cars or something, then that's a very expensive thing to fix. So especially with automotive hardware and software, you're dealing with purchasers that are making these very hard decisions using very conservative guidelines.
If I summarize this, you're saying, A, they're known quantities, so more trust, and B, there is some benefit to already integrated so they can leverage some past work. But that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Cool. I think on the market and the competitor side, we have a good answer here now. I would love to dig deeper on the key buying factors when an OEM, or I think in your case, let's take an internet company's perspective, when they're actually buying a LiDAR product. So let's think of, let's first think of an ADAS LiDAR perspective of what you would look for as an internet company, the top 5 key buying factors you would look for when you're buying a LiDAR.
Yeah, so for a company like Waymo, at this point, it doesn't matter what the sensor costs. But you do want to look forward to mass production. And, for Waymo, they have their own roadmap for when they want to start deploying it to mass market. So they're looking at the price curves for these LiDARs, and they're trying to figure out at what point will this become cost effective, and is that going to line up with their plans for when the rest of the driving system is going to be ready, so that they're not stuck with this huge bill because the technology hasn't dropped in price enough yet. So that's one factor. But right now, during our...
Luke, you're saying...
What's that?
They want to understand what is the price at volume.
What's the price at volume at a certain time point in the future, because self-driving cars are not available yet. So they're looking at their own projections for when autonomous driving is going to be a reality, and they're looking at the price curves for this LiDAR technology, including external options as well as internal options, and they're trying to figure out at what point, at the point when they want to start mass marketing and selling the driving systems, what is LiDAR going to cost? Because that factors into the cost projections for the entire system.
Okay, so cost at the time of mass production. What other factors?
Yeah, but very importantly, though, during R&D, Google has deep pocket, or Waymo has deep